Payment as a mode of extinguishing an obligation. 1231 provides for the modes of extinguishing an obligation. So we have 6 under Article 1231. Number 1, payment or performance. 2, loss of the thing due. 3, condonation or remission of debt. 4, confusion or merger of the rights of creditor and the debtor. 5, compensation. And 6, novation. So we will start with the first mode of extinguishing an obligation, and that is payment or performance. When you say payment, remember Article 1232. This article provides that payment means not only the delivery of money, but also the performance in any other manner of an obligation. So in ordinary parlance, payment refers only to the delivery of money, the giving of money. But as a legal mode of extinguishing an obligation, it has a much wider meaning. Why? Because payment under the law, under Article 1232 of the Civil Code, may consist of not only in the delivery of money, but also the giving of a thing other than money, the doing of an act, or not doing of an act. Remember the definition of obligation. It is a juridical necessity to give, to do, or not to do. So here in payment, it does not only mean that you're going to give money or you're going to deliver money, but it also means the giving of a thing, which is to give, the doing of an act, that's to do, or not doing of an act, or not to do. Okay, so under the law, payment and performance are synonymous. They are used interchangeably. For example, so we have here payment as a delivery of money. So for example, Anna owes Ben 5,000 pesos. So the creditor here is Ben. Ben is entitled to receive 5,000 pesos and the debtor is Anna. So upon payment by Anna of 5,000 pesos to Ben, then that would extinguish the liability or the obligation of Anna to Ben. And payment in that example is by delivering 5,000 pesos to Ben. Or let's say performance in any other manner of an obligation. Like for example, Anna is to sing in the birthday party of Ben. So the obligation there of Anna is to sing, that is to do, not to render a service, to do something, to perform. So upon performance of Anna, upon singing, no? Because Anna is to sing in the birthday party of Ben. So Anna is deemed to have complied with his or with her obligation. And so Anna's obligation to Ben, which is to sing in the birthday party of Ben, is already being extinguished because of that performance by Anna. 1235 provides that when the obligee accepts the performance, knowing its incompleteness or irregularity, and without expressing any protest or objection, the obligation is deemed fully complied with. So here, even if it's incomplete or irregular, still it is considered full compliance when the obligee or the creditor accepts without protest. Like for example, Anna is to sing in the birthday party of Ben, let's say a love song, okay? However, upon singing, Anna was out of tune. So there was really performance by Anna. However, it was done in a poor manner. Kaya nayabag man siya. So question, was there full compliance? Now it depends because if Ben, no, knowing of its irregularity, incompleteness, because nayabag si Anna, if Ben would accept the performance of Anna without expressing any protest or objection, then the obligation of Anna, which is to sing a love song in the birthday party of Ben, is deemed fully complied with by Anna. Okay, so again, Article 1235, there is acceptance by the creditor, knowing the incompleteness or irregularity of the performance done by the debtor. So here there is full compliance in that case. Article 1236 provides that the creditor is not bound to accept payment or performance by a third person who has no interest in the fulfillment of the obligation, unless there is a stipulation to the contrary. Whoever pays for another may demand from the debtor what he has paid, except that if he paid without the knowledge or against the will of the debtor, he can recover only insofar as the payment has been beneficial to the debtor. So question, under Article 1236, from whom shall the creditor accept payment? Of course, from the debtor. Now, what if a third person offers to pay in behalf of the debtor? Can that be accepted by the creditor? And if the creditor accepts such payment coming from a third person, what are the consequences? Okay, so here the creditor can refuse payment by a third person. However, class, the creditor also can choose to accept such payment. So we only need the acceptance of the creditor. If a third person pays the debt of the debtor, if the creditor accepts, then the debt is extinguished. Okay? The debt of the debtor to the creditor is extinguished. However, the third person who pays the debt of the debtor, okay, without knowledge or against the will of the debtor, pays the debt. Question, can he recover from the debtor? Like for example, say A, in our example, no, A owes B 5,000 pesos. A is the debtor, B is the creditor. Here comes X. X pays B 5,000 pesos, okay, in behalf of A. Now, if X pays without the knowledge or against the will of A, can X recover from the debtor? The answer is yes. X can recover, but only insofar as the payment has been beneficial to the debtor. So here, he can compel the debtor to reimburse him only to the extent that he was benefited. That is what we call beneficial reimbursement. Okay, so going back to the example, if X pays, let's say, 5,000 pesos to B, no? But in reality, ang utang lang di ay ni A kay B is only 3,000 pesos. So, here, X, the third person, can only recover 3,000 pesos from the debtor, from A, by way of reimbursement. He cannot recover the full amount of 5,000 because remember here, if the third person pays without knowledge or against the will of the debtor, then the third person can only recover insofar as the payment has been beneficial to the debtor. And in this case, since 3,000 lang di ang utang, 3,000 ra pod ang pwede i-reimburse, no? Ni X coming from A. Now, how about the 2,000 pesos? Kay gansi man si X, diba? He paid 5,000, but in reality, only 3,000 lang iyang ma-recover from A. How about the remaining 2,000? From whom can the third person recover that? Of course, the third person can recover that from the creditor. So X can recover the 2,000 pesos from B. Now, under what concept? Under what principle? Nga nung makarecover man siya? Remember the concept of solutio in debiti because that payment is by mistake. the creditor has no legal right to accept or receive that excess payment of 2,000 pesos because in reality, he was already paid. So the third party here can recover that portion from the creditor himself by reason of solutio in debiti, payment by mistake. Now, question. What if the payment by the third party is with the knowledge and consent of the debtor? What is the legal consequence of that? So in that case, class, there is actually subrogation. Okay, here the third party is not only limited to reimbursement, but he is also subrogated to the rights of the debtor. Okay, so if X pays B with the knowledge and with consent coming from A, so X can recover, no? Cannot only be reimbursed, but also he is subrogated to the rights of the debtor, to the rights of A. So it's not only reimbursement, but it's also subrogation. Okay, what if payment was made with the debtor's knowledge? So we have here reimbursement plus subrogation. So the third person is not only entitled to reimbursement from the debtor, but also entitled to subrogation. Pasabot, the third person is subrogated to the rights of the creditor. Okay, for example, nangutang si A kay B ng 1 million. A borrowed money from B, 1 million pesos, secured by a mortgage, okay, from the house and lot of A. So, nangutang si A kay B 1 million na ay gimortgage ni inay collateral, house and lot. Pasabot, in case of default, no? In case of non-payment, kung sa mahitabo, B can foreclose on the mortgage. So, pwede kuhaon ni B ang house and lot pag di makabayad si A ng 1 million. Now, what if a third person paid B 1 million in behalf of A? With the knowledge, with the consent of A, kabalo si A. So what will happen here? So the third person is entitled to reimbursement from A of 1 million. Now what if dili makabayad si A ng 1 million kay third person, kay X? What's the remedy left kay X? So X, the third person, can foreclose on the mortgage, katong house and lot. Because here there is subrogation. X is subrogated to the rights of the creditor. Diba sa creditor, pag di mabayaran siya ni A, kung sa iyang buhaton, he can foreclose on the mortgage. Pwede niya makuha ang house and lot. Now, nabayaran naman si creditor ni X kasi X man ang nibayad. And if A cannot reimburse X, what's the remedy? Same with that of the creditor. X can foreclose on the mortgage because of subrogation. Mo nang pasabot sa subrogation. Kung unsang rights nga naa si creditor, maupod ang rights nga naa si third person because the third person is subrogated to the rights of the creditor. Article 1238 provides that payment made by a third person who does not intend to be reimbursed by the debtor is deemed to be a donation, which requires the debtor's consent. But the payment is in any case valid as to the creditor who has accepted it. So here, if the third person who pays in behalf of the debtor does not intend to be reimbursed, that payment class is considered as a donation, which requires the debtor's consent. But the payment is in any case valid as to the creditor who has accepted it. So, pag may donation, that's gratuitous, no? Di na ka magpabayad. So, if di magpabayad, like in our example, si X kay A, di na siya gusto magpa-reimburse, then the payment made by X in favor of A to the creditor B is deemed a donation. Okay? So if you are a third person and you want to pay the debt of the debtor, if the creditor accepts such payment, then that is a valid payment. Wala na'y utang si debtor kay creditor. If it is intended to be a donation, then the debtor must accept. Kasi class, donation requires the consent of the debtor. If the debtor does not accept such payment, then it is not deemed to be a donation. Okay? It cannot be without his consent. If it is without his consent or knowledge, then the third person who pays can still recover reimbursement. Like in our example, beneficial reimbursement. Even if initially he intended it as a donation, but later on, nagbago ang mind ni X. Okay? He can change his mind and still collect from the debtor for beneficial reimbursement. So, if initially gusto ni X na di na pabayaran si A, but later on, X changes his mind. Nung siya pabayaran na lang na ako si X. I mean si A. So, for reimbursement ng beneficial amount lang. Okay? The amount that has been beneficial to the debtor. So, that is Article 1238. Let's go to another form of payment, which is dacion in payment or dacion en pago. So here, a property is alienated to the creditor in satisfaction of a debt in money. So first, there is a monetary debt. Okay? Nangutang, let's say A borrowed 1 million from B. So naiutang si A kay B. Monetary ang utang, monetary debt of 1 million. Later on, the debtor offers to pay in kind instead. So instead of paying 1 million, A offers to pay, let's say, sasakyan, a car, no? And in that case, it should have the consent of the creditor. Dapat musugot si B na, sige, car na lang ibayad. Let's say the value of the car is also 1 million. So, by alienating such car, such property to B in satisfaction of a debt in money worth 1 million pesos, then the debt of A to B is now extinguished by way of dacion en pago. Now, what if ang car is only 800,000 pesos, but the utang is 1 million? And upon alienation of the property or giving of the property or delivering of the property to the creditor, paghatag ni A kay B sa car, was the debt of A fully satisfied in that case? It depends. If the problem is silent, wala sila nagsabot, so only up to 800,000 lang ang nabayaran because the car is worth 800,000 lang. But if the parties would agree, would stipulate na okay, upon delivery of the car to me, may ngundahin si B na the 1 million debt will be extinguished. Then the two parties agreed. Then follow the agreement of the parties. Follow the stipulation. So in that case, the debt of A to B worth 1 million pesos is now extinguished by way of dacion en pago. Article 1249 provides that the payment of debts in money shall be made in the currency stipulated, and if it is not possible to deliver such currency, then in the currency which is legal tender in the Philippines. The delivery of promissory notes payable to order or bills of exchange or other mercantile documents shall produce the effect of payment only when they have been encashed or through the fault of the creditor they have been impaired. In the meantime, the action derived from the original obligation shall be held in the abeyance. So here, class, payment shall be made in legal tender. And what is legal tender in the Philippines? Of course, that is the Philippine peso. So if the debtor pays in check, for example, remember A borrowed 1 million from B. What if A paid in check? Is that allowed? Yes, that's allowed. But the question is, the delivery of the check, okay, will that produce payment? Is the delivery of the check alone? No? does it extinguish the obligation, the 1 million debt of A to B? Will that check extinguish the obligation? The answer is no. The check alone will not extinguish the obligation. When will the check produce payment? It will produce the effect of payment when the check has been encashed. Pag mapa-encash na nimo ang cheque mo, adto ka sa bangko, na-encash na siya, meaning nakadawat na kagkwarta, na cash, then that's the time that there is payment already. Okay? Or, another instance is, when through the fault of the creditor, the check has been impaired. What do you mean by impaired? Meaning valueless, worthless. Like for example, ang cheque. Here in the Philippines, the check class must be encashed within 6 months from the date of issuance. Okay? Kasi beyond 6 months, that's the reasonable time ng 6 months. Beyond 6 months class, the check would become stale. And once the check becomes stale, then the check now is valueless, worthless. Dili na siya pwede ma-encash. It's just as if it's a mere scrap of paper, no, worthless. So in that case, if nagtinanga si creditor, na sa iyang hands ang cheque, but after 1 year pa niya na pa-encash, well, stale na ang check. In that case, class, the obligation is considered extinguished. Okay? So extinguished na siya. Article 1252, Application of Payments. He who has various debts of the same kind in favor of one and the same creditor may declare at the time of making the payment to which of them the same must be applied, unless the parties so stipulate, or when the application of payment is made by the party for whose benefit the term has been constituted, application shall not be made as to debts which are not yet due. If the debtor accepts from the creditor a receipt in which an application of the payment is made, the former cannot complain of the same unless there is a cause for invalidating the contract. So here, class, under Article 1252, if the debtor has several debts in favor of the same creditor and the money which the debtor has is not sufficient to pay off his debts with the creditor, ang question mao ni siya, which of his debts shall be paid first? Okay? So under Article 1252, upon payment, the debtor has to declare to what debt will this payment be applied. So kinsa ang magbuot? Si debtor. So generally, the debtor decides to which debt the payment shall be applied. But there are, of course, limitations, class. Okay? Limitations of the right of the debtor to make an application of payment. Number one is this: he can only apply the payment to debts which are already due. Katong na sa due date, ni abon lampas na sa due date, nakaabot na sa due date. He cannot compel the creditor to accept payment for those debts which are not yet due. So as discussed before, remember when we discussed period, the period is deemed to be for the benefit of both the debtor and the creditor. So one cannot unilaterally decide to which debt shall the payment be applied. Okay? So here, remember that the debtor cannot compel the creditor to accept payment sa katong mga debts which are not yet due, because the debtor can only apply the payment to debts which are already due. Second is this: the debtor cannot compel the creditor to accept partial payments. Kasi ang general rule, ang compliance, ang performance, dapat full, no? Dapat buo, dapat complete. So the debtor cannot compel the creditor to accept incomplete payments, partial payments. So if the debts are 10,000, 5,000, nakaiutang ng 20,000, tuloy mo utang to the same creditor, okay? Nakaiutang na 10,000, nakaiutang na 5,000, then nakaiutang na 20,000, tulo. And you only have 10,000 pesos. Okay? You cannot insist that the 10,000 pesos be applied to the 20,000 na utang. Why? Because that would be a partial payment. So kung nakay 10,000 nga kwarta, posible dito siya ma-apply sa 10,000 po nimo na utang. Okay? And not to the 20,000 pesos na utang because you cannot compel the creditor to accept partial payments. Third limitation is this. The interest must be paid first, not the principal. Ang interest ang unahang pagbayad. So he cannot insist, kanang si debtor, he cannot insist that the payment should be applied to the principal first and then to the interest na. Why? Because we have Article 1253, ang sunod ani nga provision, which says that if the debt produces interest, the payment of the principal shall not be deemed to have been made until the interest have been covered. So pasabot class, pag naay bayad, unahon pag satisfy ang interest. Ang remaining dito pa sa principal i-apply because of 1253. Now let's go to 1253. Article 1253 provides that if the debt produces interest, payment of the principal shall not be deemed to have been made until the interests have been covered. So what if the debtor at the time when he made his payment fails to indicate to which debt shall payment be applied? To what debt shall payment be applied? Kasi wa man naka-mention si debtor kung asa dito na debt i-apply ang iyang payment. So now, it can be the creditor, okay, who will decide to which debt payment shall be applied. So now, when the creditor issues a receipt, the creditor can indicate in the receipt to which debt did he apply the payment. And that application class by the creditor cannot be impugned by the debtor unless his consent was vitiated. Ang consent ni debtor. Unless there is cause for invalidating the contract. Okay, for example, what if payment made by the debtor is silent? Wa siya nag-ingon asa ibayad, asa i-apply, ang iyang gibayad. So, na siya'y tulo ka utang kay creditor, na siya'y 5,000 pesos na utang, then na siya'y 20,000 pesos na utang, then third na siya'y 10,000 pesos na utang. So he paid 10,000 to the creditor. When he paid to the creditor class, he did not declare to which debt shall the 10,000 pesos be applied. And the creditor, when he issued the receipt, he also did not indicate to which debt did he apply the payment. So ang question mauna ni siya, which of those debts are extinguished? And that is answered by Article 1254. Article 1254. When the payment cannot be applied in accordance with the preceding rules, or if the application cannot be inferred from other circumstances, the debt which is most onerous to the debtor among those due shall be deemed to have been satisfied. If the debts due are of the same nature and burden, the payment shall be applied to all of them proportionately. So, kung asa ang mas onerous? Now, how do you know which debt is more onerous? When you say onerous class, we are not talking of the amount, ha? Say 10,000 pesos is not more onerous than 5,000. It's not as to the amount, but it is as to the accessory obligations attached. Okay? Like a penalty, if there is an interest, there is a mortgage, those debts are considered more onerous than the others. Kung, for example, ang 10,000 pesos na debt has a penalty attached, then it is more onerous than the others na walay penalty na naka-attach. Under the law, on application of payments, kung wala sila nagsabot, walay indication by the debtor or the creditor, then it is deemed to have been applied to that 10,000 pesos. Kasi katong 10,000 pesos with penalty, mo to siya ang more onerous. than the others. So, sa tanan, siya ang pinaka-onerous. Okay? Like for example, na kay 1 million na utang. Then, another na po na kay 500,000 na utang o mas gamay, no? But, the 500,000 has a mortgage, has a collateral, which is a house and lot. So, between the two, the 1 million pesos na utang and the 500,000 million na utang plus mortgage na house and lot, which is more onerous. It is the 500,000. Again, when we talk of debt which is more onerous than the others, remember, we are not talking about the amount. We are talking about the accessory obligations attached to the debt. But class, if the debts are of the same nature and burden, then the payment should be applied to all of them proportionately. So, i-apportion na lang. Okay? So, you have to know how to apportion. Kapag same nature and burden ang tanan debts. Kasi kapag hindi same, like in our example, hindi sila pareho. Why? Kasi ang 1 million monetary lang, then 1 million lang siya. No accessory obligations being attached to it. But the 500,000 na mortgage na house and lot. And let's say another utang is 5 million. So tuloy mo utang na kay 1 million na utang, na kay 500,000 na utang but may mortgage na house and lot, and ang ikatulo na kay 5 million nga utang. So dili sila same, no? Dili sila same nature and burden because katong 500,000 pesos class naa siya'y accessory obligation na naka-attach, which is the mortgage, the house and lot. So sa tulo, mas unahon nimo i-satisfy ang most onerous sa ilang tulo, which is the 500,000 na utang with the mortgage na house and lot. Kasi kapag di mo bayaran ng 500,000, ma-foreclose ang mortgage, makuha ang house and lot. So mas delikado. Okay, that is if the debts are not of the same nature and not of the same kind. But what if the same nature, the same kind, 1 million, then 500,000, then 5 million. So, walay accessory obligations attached. So, considered sila na the same nature and the same burden. So, what are you going to do? If the creditor, neither the debtor, okay, declared to which debts the payment shall be applied, then all you have to do is to apportion, okay? To apportion. Okay, so let's have an example. For example, under Article 1254, if the debts are of the same nature and burden, then the payment should be applied to all of them proportionately. Okay, we have debt number 1, 5,000, debt number 2, 10,000, debt number 3, 20,000 pesos. So meaning si A na utang kay B, tulo ka utang, separate and distinct from each other. But ang total jud niya nga utang is 35,000, no? However, ang 35,000 pesos composed of three distinct nga mga debts. So, natay 5, natay 10, then natay 20,000 pesos. Class, remember applicable lang ang Article 1254 if and only if the creditor nor the debtor, okay, did not declare to which debts the payment shall be applied. Okay? Wala sila nakahisgot, wala naka-indicate asa i-apply ang bayad. Asa nga mga utang i-apply ang bayad ni debtor. Okay? Kasi if may stipulation, nag-declare si debtor nga kining let's say 10,000 pesos para ni sa ako ang 10,000 pesos nga utang, then i-apply. But what if wala, silent? So mao na itong buhaton. Because they are of the same burden and the same nature, then we have to apportion, okay, the payment of 10,000 pesos in this case. So what are we going to do? Proportionate man dapat, so mag-apportion ta. For debt 1, that's the formula. The 5,000 pesos na utang divided by the total utang of 35,000, multiply it by the payment made, which is 10,000. Okay. Same with debt number 2 and debt number 3. So meaning, since proportionate class ang application ng 10,000 na payment, so the 1,428.57 mao na siya ang nabayad sa debt 1. Same with debt 2 and debt 3. Okay, just look at the formula. Okay, let's go to Article 1255, cession. That's another mode of extinguishing an obligation. Now, under 1252 class, katong sa application of payment, we have one debtor, we have one creditor, but we have several debts. Okay? Here in cession, we have one debtor, but several creditors. Okay? So that's the difference between the application of payment and cession. So Article 1255 provides that the debtor may cede or assign his property to his creditors in payment of his debts. The cession, unless there is stipulation to the contrary, shall only release the debtor from responsibility for the net proceeds of the thing assigned. The agreements which, on the effect of the cession, are made between the debtor and his creditors shall be governed by special laws. So what is the concept of cession? In cession class, we have a debtor who is insolvent. Pag moingon tag insolvent, the assets are less than his liabilities. Or in other words, his liabilities are more than his assets. Okay? Pero gihapon siya assets, of course, but not sufficient to pay all his liabilities. And then, in cession, the creditor has several creditors. The debtor has several creditors. And because his assets cannot satisfy all his obligations, the properties of the debtor will be sold. Ibaligya ang mga properties ni debtor. And the proceeds, katong kita, katong halin sa pagbaligya, will be paid to the creditors. So, dili ang properties of the debtor ang ibayad, but the proceeds of the sale of those properties. Now, how shall the proceeds be apportioned among the creditors? Kay daghan man siya giutangan nga tao. Okay? Several creditors, remember? So how shall the proceeds be apportioned among those creditors? Are we going to use the ratio and proportion? Okay, we have to follow the rules on concurrence and preference of credits. Okay? You have learned that there are creditors. So who are more preferred than the other creditors? So after that, kung satisfy na ang preferred creditors, then the other creditors will now distribute among themselves proportionately the proceeds. So concurrence of credits, diha na ta mag-apply sa ratio and proportion after all the preferred creditors have been paid. So unahon ang preferred, ang remaining na proceeds, na net proceeds, dito na sa dili preferred creditors. Okay? So, how are we going to distinguish cession and dation in payment? In cession, the debtor is insolvent. However, in dation in payment, insolvency class is not required. In cession, there are several creditors, but in dation in payment, the plurality of creditors is not required. In cession, the totality of properties is involved. However, in dation in payment, specific property is ceded or assigned or alienated. In cession, property itself is not to be paid but the net proceeds. However, in dation in payment, the property itself is paid. Katong mismong property ang gipambayad instead of cash. But in cession, gibaligya sa property, then katong kita sa pagbaligya, mo tong gibayad. Okay? So the rules on insolvency apply to cession, while in dation in payment, the law on sales will apply. So that is Article 1255. Article 1256. Let's now go to tender of payment and consignation. This is another mode under payment, no? Under pa rin siya sa payment or performance, another mode of extinguishing an obligation. Okay, if the creditor to whom tender of payment has been made refuses without just cause to accept it, the debtor shall be released from responsibility by the consignation of the thing or sum due. So consignation alone shall produce the same effect in the following cases. Number 1, when the creditor is absent or unknown or does not appear at the place of payment. 2, when he is incapacitated to receive the payment at the time it is due. 3, when without just cause he refuses to give a receipt. 4, when 2 or more persons claim the same right to collect. 5, when the title of the obligation has been lost. So if you are the debtor and your debts are already due and demandable, you make a tender of payment to the creditor to pay your obligation. Now, what happens if the creditor refuses to accept your payment? Would tender of payment be enough? Mao nang pangutana. What is tender of payment then? Okay, so tender of payment is a manifestation made by the debtor to the creditor of his desire to comply with his obligation with the offer of immediate performance. So that is the first step. And if the creditor refuses, as a general rule, the debtor has to consign the amount in court. So the tender of payment must be followed by consignation, because tender of payment class alone will not extinguish the obligation. Dapat partner na sila. Tender of payment first, then second, consignation. There has to be a subsequent consignation as a mode of extinguishing the obligation. Okay? So for tender of payment also to be valid, such that we can consider the refusal of the creditor to be irregular or invalid, meaning you are willing na and you are ready to pay your obligation. You have now the money. However, upon payment, upon tender of payment, dili mo dawat si creditor, and make sure class na dapat no valid reason, okay, si creditor to refuse the payment. Para the tender of payment must be valid. Okay? You have now the reason to consign it to the court. Pamong ka consign to deposit it to the court. Ang imuhang pambayad. Kay wala ni dawat si creditor sa imuhang payment without any valid cause or valid reason. So it must be for the entire amount due ang tender of payment nimo. If ang imong utang 1 million, dapat 1 million po ang imuhang gi-tender. Okay? Again, class, remember, you cannot compel the creditor to accept partial payments. Kaya dapat it must be for the entire amount due. If there is interest, then you have to tender the principal plus the interest. Dapat complete compliance. Okay? Full payment. And you have to tender the very same thing which is due. If it is not a monetary obligation, like for example, your obligation is to deliver a thing, it has to be the very same thing which was agreed upon. Kung sinasabutan na butang nga ihatag nimo, mo imong ihatag. You cannot deliver something which is of different kind from that which was being agreed upon by you and the creditor. Then, of course, tender of payment must be paid at the time when the obligation is already due and demandable, because you cannot insist to pay in advance. Okay, class? So, mo nang pasabot sa tender of payment, maghatag na ka og pambayad. So, those are the rules that you have to observe to know if the tender of payment is valid. Okay, there must be refusal of the creditor, and such refusal is without any valid grounds or reasons. Okay, the refusal is irregular or invalid. So general rule, there has to be a valid tender of payment, meaning the obligation should be due and the payment should be complete. And after the tender of payment, consignation now will follow. Kasi again, dapat partner sila. Tender of payment plus consignation equals extinguishment of the obligation. Okay? So how about consignation? Again, as I've mentioned, it's the deposit of the object of the obligation in a competent court. Diba, dili man mo dawat si creditor sa imong pambayad na 1 million. So ang 1 million nimo na cash, you deposit it sa court. You consign it in a competent court. Okay? Make sure, class, that nag-consign ka, there is consignation after the tender of payment has been refused, okay? Or because of circumstances which render direct payment to the creditor impossible or inadvisable. So again, how is consignation made? Can you just deposit the amount with the barangay? Pwede ba? There has to be a formal complaint for consignation. It is an action for consignation or a petition for consignation. It is a formal pleading filed in court. Okay? So, dili ka mo diretso sa court na ako na deposit. No, you have to file a pleading, a formal pleading in court for such consignation to be valid. Okay? So when you file a case for consignation, in order that it may be effective, the debtor must show that there was a debt due. Due na ang debt. And then the consignation of the obligation had been made because the creditor to whom tender of payment was made refused to accept it. Okay? So you have to show that prior tender of payment has been made. And then the tender of payment was being refused by the creditor without any valid reasons. And after that, class, there must be previous notice of the consignation. Okay? And that notice must be given to the person interested in the performance of the obligation. So meaning you notify the creditor as well as the guarantor, the sureties kung naa, because they are also interested in the performance of the obligation. Next, the amount due must be placed at the disposal of the court. And then after the consignation had been made, the person interested was notified also of the action. So here, there are two notices required in consignation. First notice, that is prior to consignation, your intention to consign. So you have to notify the creditor as well as the other persons interested in the performance of the obligation. And the second notice is after the consignation na. The fact that you already made the consignation, i-notify na po nimo si creditor nga tapos na nimo gi buhat ang consignation with the court. Okay? So, recap. Okay, recap ta. When you file the case for consignation, in order for it to be effective, you as a debtor must show that, number 1, there was a debt due. Number 2, consignation had been made because the creditor refused to accept without valid reasons. Number 3, there's a previous notice of consignation to the creditor and to other interested parties in the performance of the obligation, such as the guarantor, the surety. 4, the amount due must be placed at the disposal of the court. And 5 is that there must be notice after consignation. So you have to notify the creditor after the consignation had been made. Going back to the general rule, tender of payment alone without a subsequent consignation will not extinguish the obligation. In the same manner, directly consigning the amount in court without a prior tender of payment is also not valid. So, dapat tender of payment first, then consignation. But of course, class, there are exceptions under Article 1256, okay? So, these are the exceptions. You have to remember these. Number 1, when the creditor is absent or unknown or does not appear at the place of payment. So how can you pay if he's not there? So you just consign the amount in court. Number 2, when he is incapacitated to receive the payment at the time it is due. So like nabuang si creditor, asa man mo ibayad ang payment? Okay? Remember, payment to a person who does not have legal capacity, like for example, in sale, no, kanang nagbaligya, is not valid. So what are you going to do? You have to consign the amount in court. Number 3, when without just cause, he refuses to give a receipt. So, delikado kung dili siya muhatag og resibo, kay basin maningil siya usab, moingon siya wa ka nakabayad. So, kung magbayad ka, tas dili maghatag og resibo si creditor, then, it's better for you to consign the amount in court. Number 4, when 2 or more persons claim the same right to collect. Okay, wala ka kabalo kung kinsa imong bayaran sa duha. Ningon si creditor ako, ningon putong usab dapat ako. So nalibog ka, you better consign the amount in court and let them litigate against each other to prove who is more entitled to the payment. Okay? And last, when the title of the obligation has been lost, like for example, a promissory note. Okay? It is a promissory note payable to bearer. Pasabot, payable to whoever is in possession of the note. So kung kinsa ang naay possession sa note, kinsa ang nagdala sa note, kinsa ang holder ng note, promissory note, siya ang may karapatan nga maningil. What if nawala? Nawala ang promissory note. Asa man ka magbayad? Tapos moingon na lang, moingon si A, let's say si A moingon, ako ang last nga holder sa promissory note. So, sa ako ka dapat mabayad. But, A cannot present the document, the promissory note. He doesn't have the promissory note in his possession. So to be safe, you consign the amount in court. Article 1260. Once the consignation has been duly made, the debtor may ask the judge to order the cancellation of the obligation. Before the creditor has accepted the consignation or before a judicial declaration that the consignation has been properly made, the debtor may withdraw the thing or the sum deposited, allowing the obligation to remain in force. So here, class, the debtor may withdraw as a matter of right the thing or the sum deposited sa court. First, before the creditor has accepted the consignation or before a judicial declaration that the consignation has been properly made, as he is still the owner of the same. Okay? In such a case, the obligation shall continue to remain in force. Kaya withdraw naman niya. Then all expenses paid here by the debtor.